and welcome back to another episode on the Mamas Who Brunch. I am Jelena, your host, and I am so thrilled. I have a guest that I've been wanting to have on the podcast for a long time. Her name is Amber Sargent, and she's from Springville, Alabama. Amber, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
I'm so glad that you're here. Your story has been impactful to so many people, and I think this is going to be an amazing place that you can share your story, and your kids will be able to come back and listen to your story in your own words. So I'm super grateful to have you. Thank you for being willing to share. This will be a conversation about your experience with motherhood during this challenging season of your life. And before we get started, I would love for you to tell our listeners a little bit about yourself and your family, your kids. Give us some backstory of who you are.
My name is Amber. I live in Alabama. I have lived in Alabama for 17 years now, which sounds crazy. Before I lived here, I lived in DuQuoin, Illinois, and grew up there. So I've only lived in 2 states. I will say Alabama's the better of the two.
I would agree.
Yeah. But I have 2 wonderful children, Melody, who is 12 and in the youth, Titus, who is 8. He's going to be 9 in a couple weeks. They are great kids. Melody, she can do anything she puts her heart to. And Titus, he's just a bundle of energy. Yeah, go ahead.
They are some of the cutest kids I've ever seen in my life.
Thank
I have
you.
to tell you that. I've never told you that before, but they are
Thank
adorable.
you. Thank you. I think they're pretty cute too. They're a mess though. I also have my little old man, and he's my 16-year-old Schnauzer, Banjo. And then I have a little fur baby cat, Shadow, who has become my little child, who follows me around like one. I am also a lunch lady at a local school. We serve about 1,600 kids in about a 4-hour period every single day. It is a lot of work, but I love what I do. And I never thought that I would be a lunch lady. When I first got the job, my sister sang the lunch lady song from SNL to me. So it's like our joke. But I love it. It's a lot of work and I love it. But I love the ladies that I work with. They are great Christian ladies. They pray for me and are there for me and support me. And I couldn't imagine going through cancer and working anywhere else because the support is amazing.
That's awesome. Before everything you've gone through recently and being diagnosed with stage 2 breast cancer, what did your life look before all of this?
So 7 years ago, I was hit with something that changed my life. And that was the separation of me and my ex-husband, my then husband at the time. We were married for 10 years and together for 17 at the time. So that was something that rocked me off of my foundation a little. Never completely threw me off, but made me draw closer to the Lord. So that was kind of what my life was like. I went through my divorce, and then I've been a single mom for the last 7 years and having to figure out how to navigate my life and become a different person than I was for 10 years. That was hard.
You can use your story to direct
Right,
younger people.
right.
One of the things you've also shared is that you homeschool your kids. So do you still
Yeah.
homeschool both your kids?
I do not. I homeschooled before my divorce. So I was homeschooling Melody while she was in kindergarten and first grade. Then the divorce happened, and then I was a single mom. So I was not a stay-at-home mom anymore, and I couldn't homeschool like I wanted to. I also found out that I am not a homeschool mom. I am not disciplined enough to be a homeschool mother. It's great for the ones that can. I think my kids also they thrive in a school environment.
And I was homeschooled. I went to community college, and I always knew I wasn't going to homeschool my daughter. Like, I don't have the patience. I also want her to be like socialized with people that are not like
Yes.
her. So that was important to me. But I completely understand and respect your decision. Like, there's a lot of Christian motherhood podcasts out there, and a
Yeah.
lot of them are about homeschooling. And I'm just like, let me have a space that's not about, just that. Right. So what are some things that like people from the outside may not
Right.
see about your journey? Because I know
Yeah.
you don't share a lot on social media and you're not very public. What do you want people to know about your life.
I have an amazing support system, which I'm thankful for. But even with a support system, going through a divorce and being a single mother is very lonely. Even going through my cancer, it can be very, very lonely. I can have people in the house visiting. I could be on the phone with people, and there's still that loneliness that it's kind of hard to explain unless you've been there and walked through it. It's the not knowing if you will find love again, and having that person with you to walk through these trials with you can be very, very lonely. But not only that, being a single mom, there's a lot of financial struggles that people don't talk about, because I come from a one income household now, which I do get child support, but that goes to the kids and the things that they need and everything. But when it comes to me, like I'm just on my income supporting two children. Um, and it's hard. It's very, very hard. But I have had help, and the Lord has blessed me with things that's helped. But but yeah, those are kind of the things that people don't really see, and unless you've walked through it, you don't really understand.
I have a few other single friends that are mothers and they have similar struggles. And I don't think that many people are aware of it, and how our world is designed for a dual income household. Like it's not designed for single income. Like it's definitely not a fair system. And I appreciate you sharing about the loneliness. I think a lot of mothers feel lonely, but we feel lonely and we're not going through what you are experiencing with your cancer journey. So that on top of it, I can't even imagine. And I just want you, if you can, to help us understand how we can support you better. Because I think part of my goal with having this space is I'll just speak for myself. I don't think that many of us know what to say to make things better, right? When it comes to divorce or when it comes to cancer. And so
Right.
I don't know if you've
Hmm.
experienced that, but just as like an outsider, it's like people assume you have the support, people assume people are there for you. Does that make
Hmm.
sense? What would you say to help change that or give people a different perspective?
I would say a lot of it, like especially through my cancer, a lot of it has been more of people asking, "What do you need? What can I do for you?" And sometimes, like, we go through so many things in the cancer community where it's appointment after appointment and test after test and scans, and then going through chemotherapy when I'm sick, and just, I mean, you can't even get up off the couch sometimes. Like it's so tiring. And sometimes it's not a we don't want to, not that we don't want to answer of like um
Yes.
of how you can help. It's that we physically can't. Um we don't have the strength to think about what we want, and how you can help. Sometimes the best thing to do is just call and say, "Hey, I'm bringing a pizza." Or, "Hey, do you want me to pick the kids up from school? I'm going to go get them." Or, "Do you want to go get a drink at Starbucks? Like, let's just go through the drive through, get me out of the house." Things like that can be more supportive rather than just waiting for me to answer and give you something,
That's
to help
fantastic. Just being a
you.
mother, not what you're dealing with. Like you're dealing with
No.
something much, much harder. And
Right.
I feel like it's, when people know what you need, it feels deeper and stronger than people constantly asking. Because then it kind of puts a responsibility on you to come up with it. Thank you for sharing that. Because I think that that's
Right.
impactful for people
Hmm.
like myself
Yes.
and those around you that live near you to understand what you need.
We understand when people don't know what to say, because I get that, because I've been there. And when somebody's gone through something and you don't know what to say because you've never gone through it, just a text or a call just saying, "Hey, I'm thinking of you. I just want you to know I'm praying for you and I love you, can mean the world to somebody, just to know that they're thought of.
Do you feel, because I have seen people post like wearing, I think it's pink,
Hmm.
like wearing pink for you and like sending pictures, like how does that translate?
That was actually something that I really needed that day. When everybody wore pink that day, um, and it wasn't just everybody in church. There was like my coworkers wore pink and my family members wore pink and my kids' teachers, they posted they wore pink. I had treatment that Tuesday. It was my very first treatment. The dose that they gave me was extremely strong and it made me very, very sick. And it landed me in the hospital that Saturday following. I was extremely dehydrated and very sick. And that next day, that Sunday, was the day that everybody wore pink for me. And it was what I needed. I knew people were wearing pink and I knew people were praying, and that's when I needed prayer the most. And I know it helped because that Sunday I felt the best. I was so happy. I had a lot of strength. And I just got so much joy looking at all the pictures and thinking of all these people that were thinking of me and praying for me.
I saw it all, but I didn't get to ever hear what it meant to you. So thank you for sharing that. So before we kind of get more into your journey with cancer,
Yeah.
can you kind of walk us through like the season of your divorce? If there's something that you can say to encourage people walking in your shoes, like I know single women that have been divorced that are in the church and men.
Right.
Just walk us through that
Right.
experience and anything you would like to share.
So, when my divorce happened, it was something that I never thought would ever happen. I was happily married. It shook a lot of people. It surprised a lot of people. But I do want to say here that I have forgiven the people that have hurt me and chose to move forward um, for myself, but also for my kids.
That's right.
Um, because there's no room for bitterness. Um, being a single mom, for sure, because you want to um, give all your attention to them, and you can't if you're constantly thinking of everything else. Do I wish things were different? Yes. I mean, I would be lying if I said that I didn't, you know. But also, I can't change what has happened. So I have to move on and be there for my children. And it's hard for people to understand that because I feel like a lot of people that's gone through divorce hold grudges against the other. Um, and that doesn't make for a happy relationship with your children. Me and my ex, we co parent amazingly. We talk to each other all the time and we try and do what's best for the kids. And we're always putting them first above what we disagree on. We try and talk it out and it has worked for the last 7 years. And our kids, I feel, yeah, there might be some pulling and tugging of which way we want them to go, but I've left it more in their hands of where
Yeah.
what they want to do because I don't ever want them to feel like I've forced them to go a certain way. Um and I feel like that has helped a lot. But divorce in the church is looked at differently. And, some people might look at things like, oh, you're divorced. You
Yeah.
shouldn't even have anything to do with that family. And that's a lot. I've heard that so many times. But my in law family has been my biggest support. My family, obviously, as well. But I couldn't imagine going through my divorce without them. Because I would be down here by myself and with nobody. Even though I have the church and I have church family, I have
Absolutely.
friends, it's not like having your own actual family. And they have been that for me. And a lot of people
Yeah.
don't understand, and it's hard to
Yeah.
explain, but they have become my parents.
My parents divorced. I didn't know my biological father growing up, and I now believe that that was for it made me a better person because of it. Like, was it ideal? No, but it was the best of the situation.
Right.
And my mom struggled. She was a single parent, trying to make ends meet, very similar to you.
Mm-hmm.
Like, she had a boy and a girl by herself. Um, and it wasn't easy, but we didn't know any different as kids. We loved her. We got to be with her. Um, we didn't understand why our dad
Right.
wasn't there, but I know their dad
Mm-hmm.
is a part of their life, which is beautiful. Um, so it wasn't great for my situation. Like, it's probably good that my dad wasn't around, but
Yes.
I know it's different for your kids. And the fact that you have your in-laws and that you're close is a
Right.
blessing. Like, you
Mm-hmm.
would have lost them as well. And you don't have to lose them.
Yeah.
Like, they're always going to be a part of you because you've got their grandbabies too.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I know grandparents, they love their grandbabies. So that's
Yeah. Yeah.
um I do think that people need to look at divorce differently. Every situation's different, and that
Right.
people need to just be
Mm-hmm.
understanding and let you decide what's best for yourself when you're in that situation. They don't see what's going on behind closed doors, and even with all of our lives being on
Right.
social media, nobody sees
Mm-hmm.
what's behind the scenes. God does. You are the only one that really
Mm-hmm.
knows how it was and what happened. So, and that's all that matters. How did that season shape your identity, right? You were a stay-at-home mom. That changed, right? You had to pivot to find out what you're going to do for work. And then also, how did that
Mm-hmm.
impact your faith?
During that time, I drew close to the Lord. I drew probably closer to the Lord than I've ever been. Not to say that this cancer journey, I haven't drawn closer to the Lord, but during my divorce, it shook me so hard that I was praying all the time. I was reading my Bible. I was reading scriptures. I was listening to different preachers, different pastors, different church services. I was constantly listening to different church songs on SoundCloud. I was trying so hard to draw close to the Lord because I needed it. Also, I know I needed to be a better Christian example during that time. Not saying that I wasn't, but trying to show
Yeah.
my children how to lean on the Lord is what I wanted to do, which for the most part, I think I did. I would be lying if I said it wasn't hard. It was hard to do. There was a lot of days I didn't want to, but I did. And I found that he was just as close.
So let's talk about when you received your cancer diagnosis. What was your first reaction?
I found the lump myself one night, which was crazy because I feel like the Lord helped me find it. I had been having pain, which, I thought that I was just, about to start my cycle and it was just that kind of pain. Um, I had gone to Illinois for my niece's bridal shower and I was kind of hurting, you know, when I was up there. Then I came back home. I went to work that day and I even made a comment to my coworker. I was like, I'm
Mhm.
hurting more than I usually am. She's like, oh, that's weird. Maybe you need to check things out. So that night I was checking things. I found the lump and it was pretty large. So I did the thing that you're not supposed to do. And I Googled and I chat GPT'd and all the things and trying to find
Oh,
out.
wow.
And it was like one of the biggest red flags for cancer. And at that point, I kind of just
How
knew.
long ago was this of
It was in
2020?
September, at the very
Okay.
end of September. So, September, I found the lump of 25. I made my appointment. I got online that day and I made my appointment. I had appointment with my gynecologist that, like, I don't remember, Thursday or Friday. When she felt it, I could see it in her eyes. She was concerned. And she said, well, we're going to send you for a mammogram and an ultrasound, and we're going to see if we can get moving on this, and we're going to get it going pretty fast. I was like, okay. So that, I want to say it was 2 weeks from then. they actually scheduled me. I had my mammogram, I had my ultrasound, and I asked the ultrasound tech if she saw anything suspicious, and they can't really tell you. She just said that I'll have to talk with my doctor. But it was the very next day that after my mammogram that I got a call saying that they found something suspicious and that I needed to come in that day for a biopsy. I was not planned, like mentally, to go in that next day for a biopsy. Um, and everybody else had plans, and I didn't want to go by myself. And I was at work, kind of just crying because I didn't know what to do. And my boss, my director, looked at me and she said, I'll go with you. So she drove with me and was in the room with me when I had the biopsy, and it was very rough and not at all what I was expecting. I mean, it's a long
Because you
needle.
did you even know what to expect when you went in there?
No, I had no idea. It was just kind of like, all right, this is it. This is the next step. I love my surgical oncologist. He was the one that did the biopsy, and he ended up doing my surgery. I love him, but he is very straightforward and very just
Yeah.
he just talks very fast, and it's alarming, especially when you're not used to that. So I had that done. Then I had to go in that next week. He called and said, you need to have a breast MRI. My mom came down for that, and was here when I had all my scans. Um, I had my breast MRI. Then I got the call from my surgical oncologist, and I was at work when I got the call. We were shutting everything down. We had just finished serving the last kids, and I got the call. And when I answered the phone, he said, is this Amber Sargent? And I said, yes. And he said, okay, this is Dr. Bullock. I'm just calling to let you know that it came back positive for cancer. And it was like, I didn't even have enough time. I was running from one end of the kitchen into the office, and I couldn't even get into the office
Forget.
because I wanted
Yeah.
somebody else to hear what he was saying, because I knew I was going to like just space out. And before I could even get in there, he was just spitting out everything and all the information. And I was like so overwhelmed. And I just put it on speakerphone and I just sat down and I just looked at my boss. And she said, what? And I said, it's cancer. And he's just still talking. And um, he told me, we're going to have you come back in. We're going to sit down and we're going to talk about everything. And so we scheduled that appointment. And I got off the phone and I completely lost it. Um, I was pretty much in the floor. Um, because how do you handle getting told that you have cancer at 35 years old? Um, it's something that I never thought
Yes.
that I would hear in my life, especially that young. You're just never prepared mentally for that kind of
Yeah.
diagnosis, especially to have it that quick. um, and then he told me other things on the phone, but I couldn't even tell you
Yeah.
what he told me because I was so spaced out at that time. Um, but my boss, she just came over, she held me, she cried, she said, just let it out. And I just like scream cried.
Oh
Then
no.
all my coworkers knew what was going on and they came in, they all surrounded me and hugged me. And um, I immediately got on the phone with mom, with Ann and Philip, with Brother Sharber. I called Justin
Yeah.
and called everybody that I could think. I called Megan, everybody that I could think of right then, to tell. We'll get into in a minute about telling the kids, but from then, I my mom came down and we went to go have the talk with my surgical oncologist. And when he walks in the room, he just, so you're not planning on having any more kids, right? Like that's how he's like, okay. So because of the type of cancer I have, I'll get into that. So I have invasive ductal carcinoma, stage 2, grade 3. And my cancer is HER2 negative, estrogen receptive positive, progesterone receptive positive, which means my cancer is fed from hormones. So estrogen and progesterone feed my cancer and cause it to grow. I will say this, from that scan I had, my tumor was about 3 centimeters in sizes. And when I went to have my surgery in January, it doubled in size and it was 6 centimeters. And that's because it was extremely fast growing, which is why it made it a grade 3. I have to be on a hormone blocker for the next 5 to 10 years. 10 years is the goal, 5 years, is the minimum. And because of the hormone blocker, it puts me into menopause. So I will be medically put into menopause. So if I were to want kids, they could have harvested my eggs and saved my eggs for future. Um, but because one, I'm not married and I'm not in a relationship and I'm 35, in 5 to 10 years, I'll be 40, 45. So um, I was like, no, I'm not having any more kids.
Like, I'm really sorry that
Thank you.
you've gone through that.
Yes,
Like, I
thank
didn't,
you.
again, this is why we have these. Like, it's just not
Yeah,
knowing, right, the full story. So, obviously, finding this out with your coworkers, like, it's not
yeah,
ideal.
yeah.
I hate that that's how you found out. You've shared a bit about how you felt, but like what was going through your mind at that time? Obviously, like you went through the scan, so you kind of knew something was going on, but what were you thinking when all that happened?
I thought, how in the world am I going to do this? Like, how am I going to go through cancer as a single mom? Like, being a single mom is hard enough. But to have to go through cancer, like, and what does it look like? And is it so bad that I'm gonna die? And what is gonna happen to my kids? Like, those are the things that went through my mind. Like, at that point, I didn't know if I was gonna have to have surgery. I didn't know if I was gonna have to have chemo. I didn't know if I was gonna have to have radiation. And all those were so scary to me, like to even just think about. Um, and I was like, I don't know how I'm going to do it. I really don't. But now that I have, um, and I made the decision. So my doctor gave me the choice to do chemo. Radiation was a must because of the size of my tumor. But the chemo was up to me. When they diagnose you, you go through a genetic test. If it's genetic to where it would pass down to my children, which once a family member has breast cancer, then you do have some sort of a chance to get it in the future. I
That's
don't carry the gene, which is great. So that means my kids have a lesser chance to be diagnosed with it. After I had my surgery, they did a genetic test on the tumor, on my actual cancer, and it tells if it is responsive to chemo or radiation. And mine was, and it helped reduce the risk of it coming back significantly. So my oncologist said, it's up to you if you want to go through with chemo. This is the regimen that you would do every 3 weeks and a total of 4 treatments. And I thought, well, that's not too bad. I can do it. Um, but the decision to do it was because it would give me a longer lifespan, and that lifespan is going to be dedicated to my children. The day that I met with my surgical oncologist, there was another thing that happened. So he went over all my scans and he wanted to show something. And he said, if you look at this spot, it's on your sternum, and there's something that we found. There's a little spot, it's very tiny, but it looks like it's a cluster of cells, or what they would call a bone island, or it could be bone cancer.
oh my goodness.
And when he said that, it was me and my mom and Ann in the room, and we all just kind of took a deep breath, and like everything was silent.
Mhm.
And he said, this is a big concern. So we're going to set it up for you to have a chest CT done tomorrow morning. And then we're going to come back and we're going to talk about it. I was extremely scared. That's when I didn't know what to do because I was like, Lord, here I am just being diagnosed with breast cancer. And now I might have bone cancer. And if it's in my bones, I don't know. I don't know what's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I think it ended up being that actually next week was when I had that scan. We ended up going to church that weekend, and I had an amazing blessing that weekend. The church surrounded me and prayed with me, and I really felt like the Lord was going to take care of me. That next week, I had the CT scan, and I remember laying there on the bed just praying, Lord, let them find nothing. Let nothing be there. During this time, Melody was actually on the youth trip with our youth in Gatlinburg. And everybody there had been praying as well on the trip. And on the day that I got the call, they called and they said, it looks like it's not cancer. It is just what they consider a bone island, and that it's something to just watch for, but
Wow.
that it's not bone cancer. And I remember getting off and I just said, thank you, Lord. Thank you, Lord. And I got off the phone and I called, everyone that I could think of. And then I called and talked to Brother Sharper, and he was there with the youth. And this part is what kind of hurts. But Melody misunderstood things, and she thought that they said that I didn't have cancer at all. So she called me and she was excited and she's like, Mom, they said that you don't have cancer anymore. I was like, oh, honey, actually, I don't have bone cancer because I had not told the kids that there was a possibility of bone cancer because I didn't want to scare them because they were already worried enough about the breast cancer. So I
Yeah.
didn't want to scare them until there was something to worry about.
Yeah.
So I told her, I said, well, actually, there was a possibility that mommy could have had bone cancer and it wasn't. But you know what? The Lord took care of me and He answered prayers. And now I don't have it. And so I felt like it was a testimony of faith for my kids to
Oh,
know
absolutely.
that, something could have been there, but we prayed and it's not. The Lord
That's amazing.
heard our prayers.
Yes, building their faith through this that's awesome, right? Like that's a
Yeah.
blessing
Yes.
that was the outcome. So, well, thank the Lord. I didn't even know that happened, so I'm really grateful
Yeah.
that you don't have bone cancer. So, what was the hardest part of walking through this as a mom?
How am I going to tell the kids? How am I going to still show up for them when I'm exhausted? How am I still
Mm.
going to be mommy? Um, and in that time at the beginning, it felt impossible. It felt like there's no way I can do this. Um, until I got in my mind that I had to. I had no choice. Um, it was either let it kill me or be there for my kids. So I chose the latter. But showing up for my kids is probably the hardest right now because of how tired I am all the time. Like there's field trips that I missed because I couldn't go because I can't walk long distances. Um, and my immune system is compromised from the chemo,
Yeah.
which it's getting better.
Yes.
So
Thank the Lord.
thank God for that. I am ready to feel better. Melody understood more than Titus did. Titus, I just explained to him, like, Mommy's going to be sick for a while and everything. But I also had to make the decision, like, I really need to explain to him what exactly it is so he understands. And that was a hard conversation.
You have been so strong to do this for your kids. And one of these days,
Yeah.
they'll fully understand after they're a parent. what it's like and what sacrifices you've made. And it'll be a beautiful story they're going to share with their kids. So, in the moments that where you feel like everything is uncertain with what you're going through, how has your relationship with the Lord been like?
I would say my relationship has always kind of been strong, but I would be lying if I said that there was times that I didn't have that relationship that I needed to. I want to control things
Yeah,
myself. I'm sure a lot of people are the same way. When it comes to things like this, I just can't. I
right.
need the Lord, and I need my relationship with him to be the strongest that it can be.
I think you were born into the church, right? Obviously, that established like your relationship with the Lord as like a young child. I'm sure the things you've gone through, you never expected that you'd have to face. I have not been through what you've been through, but I have had experiences, and I think as an adult, that's where my relationship has grown is through the experiences I've had with
Mm-mm.
him and God showing himself to be real to me. Again, I've never walked through your path, but I also know that God's been with me.
Mhm.
Um, and that's the only way that I feel like it's been proven to me is going through hard times. I had a relationship with God as a kid, but it was more of like I didn't have a deep relationship like I have now.
Right.
So what does prayer look like for you when you went through and you're still going through it, but like through the lowest moments, what has prayer been for you?
I feel like prayer is different for me. I'm not one to just openly just pray. Um, a lot of my prayers happen alone. Um, a lot of them happen on my way to work, in my car, or in the shower, or, at night when I'm in bed, just laying there and thoughts are running through my mind and I just talk to the Lord and I just pray. When we like pray like as a family, I'm never one to just pray out loud with everybody. I can be quiet, sometimes throughout the day. I say little prayers here and there.
Prayer life doesn't mean you have to be like on your knees, shouting. Like I just think
Yeah,
it's in those
yeah,
quiet moments and
yeah,
thinking about God throughout the day and he's there, he's always there. Were there any
right.
specific scriptures or songs or messages that have helped carry you through this time?
So my favorite scripture of all time, it's actually gotten me through my whole life. My mom started saying it to me in school. I struggled really bad with school, having ADD and, focusing. So she would always quote like before a test, Philippians 4:13, I can do all things through Christ, which strengthens me. And I have really fallen on that scripture,
Absolutely.
especially through my divorce, through my cancer. That has been one that always carries me through because that's where I find my strength is through him. And Romans 8:28, which this one has been more through my cancer. There's been a lot of whys through my cancer. I feel like, why me? Why do I have to go through that? I feel like everybody has those questions from time to time. But Romans 8:28 says, we know that all things work together for good to them that love the Lord. And my dad likes to quote that one to me a lot. That's what I have to keep in mind, that even though we go through trials, that sometimes it's not because of the whys, it's because the Lord is trying to draw us nearer.
Amen. I think the first thing
Um,
we always ask ourselves when we hear about someone having cancer is why, because it's not fair at all. And sorry, this is like difficult.
yeah,
Um,
yeah.
I guess can I ask like how has that been? Like I know you've asked God why, but do you feel like he's answered you?
I don't think that it was more of a answer from him, more of a realization of sometimes um, there's not a why. There's not an answer to the why. There's just a answer of it's just life. Things just happen. It's, human nature. We're going to get sick. We're going to go through these things.
Through your divorce, through being a single parent, through your cancer journey. Because at the end, that's what we all should do with whatever our lot is, right? What God's given us is how do we glorify God through this? Um, because we owe all to Him. And what you said, I will probably repeat this until the day that I die because it has been so
Right.
impactful to me. But Cullen, he used to be a pastor, and one of the things that he says resonates in my mind, and it's that we live in a world full of sin and death, and it isn't fair. And there are many things that happen that can't be explained.
Mhm.
And it's not that it's personal to a person, it's just a result of living in this world of sin and death, and we have to keep eternity in view. And that's kept me
Right.
in a positive place, because you can get, if we just focus on the here and now, it can get really depressing and heavy because of all of the pain.
Right.
Talk with me about maybe some of the songs, because I know music can be so uplifting.
Most of the people probably listening knows that I come from a musical background, given who my father is. Music is a big part of my life, and that is a lot of my meditation with the Lord, where I will turn on SoundCloud or listen to the Collingsworth Family is my favorite Christian group. I listen to them all the time. And but a lot of songs that have gotten me through, I'm going to name a few. The one through, there was a couple through my divorce, which was Stand Still and Let God Move, was a huge one. That was because at the beginning of going through everything, when I counseled with my pastor, he talked to me about just standing still, and letting the Lord talk to my heart through it, and standing still and letting him work through the situation. So that song was very impactful for me during that time.
That's awesome.
And then the other one was Sometimes It Takes a Mountain. Brooklyn sings that one a lot at our church. And that one has helped not just through divorce and cancer, but through other things too. Because sometimes it does take different things that we go through to draw closer to the Lord. I was diagnosed in October, which was coincidentally Breast Cancer Awareness Month. And it was kind of right after the meeting, and we had been singing For All That I Don't Know. That is Sister Rachel Hunt's song. In that song, it talks about for all that I don't know, you know, because you've seen. You see
Amen.
the end, you know, of my trial. You know what it's going to end like. And so you have to have faith that he'll get you through that. And then recently, we've been singing Never a Time. There's never a time that he hasn't brought you through. And it is very true to me. There has never been a time in my life that the Lord has never been there and never gotten me through the things. And so that's one that I have been listening to a lot lately.
It's wonderful to hear that you've had things that you go to keep yourself encouraged. How has God shown up for you in ways that you
Mhm.
didn't expect?
He has shown up a lot. I mean, so many ways the Lord has shown up for me, and I could talk days and days about all the ways that he has shown up. But one in particular that I want to talk about was, so there's been a lot of support through my cancer, um, and through other things, but mostly my cancer. And a lot of people have been there for me. But I want to talk about one in particular, my best
Yeah.
friend Megan. Um, she is a rock to me, and she's an amazing person. And through my cancer, through everything that I've gone through recently, since my immune system has been so low, she hasn't been able to come and visit. And I know that has broken her heart, and it has mine too, because I miss her so much. Um, but because she couldn't be here for me physically, she decided to
Yeah.
create the fundraiser for me online and have people donate for my cancer journey. That has helped tremendously, for my it has helped for the treatments. It's helped for the gas to and from treatments. I cold capped, which is
I've seen
something
your
I haven't talked
pictures.
about
Is
yet.
that where you wear some?
Yes. So it's to preserve your hair follicles so that when they do fall out during chemo, that it
Wow.
protects them and it keeps them to where they will grow back faster and healthier than they were before. And I will say that it is working. So I have saved about, I would say about 60% of my hair. So I, do have a wig on for those who don't know. Um, I've lost, it's mostly up top, so it's kind of hard to conceal. That's why I wear a wig. Um, but I've only lost probably about 40%. It's not as much as people who don't cold cap, usually if you're going through the cancer and the type of chemo that I had to have, you usually lose your hair within the first treatment or second treatment. I did start losing my hair after the first, but with this system, I've been able to keep most of it. But the system is not cheap at all. It's very expensive. So the money from the fundraiser has been what has helped me to pay for that. And I am so thankful for it. But it's also helped me like to get all the other things that I needed. With chemo, it can cause you to have neuropathy in your hands and feet. So during treatment, you can wear these cold mitts on your hands and your feet, which kind of help keep your hands from getting hot and the chemo to travel to your hands and feet to prevent neuropathy. So that was like something else that I needed. The fundraiser has helped, and I want to take the time now to thank everyone, if you're listening, that
That is
donated.
wonderful.
I'm so thankful for all those that donated. So I wanted to say thank you. My next step is radiation because I'm done with chemo. Thank goodness that's done. But the next step is radiation, and I haven't posted about this, and not a lot of people know, just kind of like a few of, my friends and family know. Um, Originally, my radiation treatment was supposed to be for 6 weeks, 5 days a week, for a total of 30 treatments. And last week, went to my radiation oncologist, and she told me that I actually only need half.
That's wonderful.
So I only need 3 weeks, 16 sessions. So that is an answer to prayers. That's the only thing really I have left to go through. And then after that, I'll be starting my hormone blocker. I'm in a support group online on Facebook, actually, for breast cancer. It has helped me tremendously.
I can empathize with you. I can never understand because it's not my experience. And I think it's
Yeah.
important for other people to hear your story so that they can
Hmm.
somehow try to relate. Like, I know that it's almost impossible, but it's good that you have that community of
Right.
people.
It's like thousands of people on there. There's another group, Forge. It's here in Birmingham. And they actually reached out to me. Brooklyn's husband, Chase, Cody, gave them my information and they reached out to me. They send like gas cards and grocery cards and a little box full of goodies for when you start chemo.
How have your children experienced this journey with you?
My kids, I feel like, are a lot like me and sometimes can be quiet about the things that they go through, Melody in particular. So they've been pretty strong for the most part, until recently when it was a night that I couldn't make it to church and they ended up going with, I think, their Aunt Kristen came and picked them up and took them to church. Melody got up for the first time and testified, and she thanked the church for the prayers, for me and for the love and support. And then she went in and talked about how hard it was for her. She's never really opened up and said that to me. She's just kind of gone about her day. She would ask me how I'm doing, or, every night she'd pray for me, but I never really seen how it affected her until I heard her testimony. And she talked about how worried she was about me and about how she felt like she needed to be there, support her little brother, and step up and take care of him. And I didn't know she felt that way. And that night I had already, felt terrible because I'm like, here I am again. I can't make it to church and I'm weak and I have to rely on somebody else to take my kids to church, and that should be me. Um, And then when she got up and she talked, after she said that how thankful she was to be in a place that loves her and helps her family. And it made me so thankful. And I thought,
Absolutely.
maybe I am doing the right thing. um, and I am doing what I'm supposed to be doing because she's proof. And she's a strong girl. I didn't realize how hard it was on her. Titus, he's younger. He's a boy too. I had talked to them about the possibility of me having cancer because I was trying to not talk to them about it. I felt like I needed to. So I told them this is what the possibility was, and and it's going to be okay. And they were like, okay. But then the day that I found out, it was an emotional day. I was at work and emotional. And so then I had to come home, and I came home and I thought, how am I going to tell them? Like, I can't even pull it together. And so I called their Mimi, and she went and picked them up from school for me because I still had phone calls that I had to make and letting people know. And she went and picked them up and got them McDonald's and brought them home. But when they walked in the door, they could tell something was wrong. And I kind of just said, "Come here, we need to talk." And I said, "My doctor called and it is cancer." And they both just started crying, and saying, "No, no, I don't want that. I don't want it to be cancer." And I, hugged him and we cried for a little bit. And I told him, "Listen, it's okay to be scared. It's okay to feel this way, but we're not going to stay here. We're not going to continue to feel this way. We're going to pick ourselves back up and we're going to keep going and we're going to fight this as a family." And I've kind of always told my kids, it's okay to be scared. Um, I always let them know it's okay to have feelings. But it's not okay to have a bad reaction to those feelings. Titus in a dentist appointment. He was upset about a dentist appointment. And I told him, it's okay to be scared to go to the dentist, but it's not okay to pitch a fit about it. I said, there's just sometimes where you have to do things scared. And I told him, I said, I am so scared to do this. I'm so scared to go through this. But I'm going to have to do it scared because I'm going to do it for you. Um, and so that's kind of how I told them about it, and how I've kind of helped them get through it and hold on to faith.
I think that was like really brave and wise of you to do with them. I obviously want to know like how you continue to show up every day as a mom. It's not something that's past tense. You continue to do this every day. Motherhood is hard without everything that you're dealing with, so I really just can't imagine. I can't imagine how you're doing it.
Some days I can't either. I'd be lying if I said that, it's just easy and you just do it. I do because I have no choice. Some days I'm the only thing my kids have. They come home from school and it's just me and them. This summer, it's going to be me and them a lot because I can't go anywhere. I have to just make the decision to just keep going and lean on the Lord to give me strength, because if I didn't, I don't know what that would look like. I just keep going. That's all I can say that I do, is I just keep
And I
going.
know that there's days that you don't feel like it, and that's obviously like more than okay. Like you have the right. Um, but what has motherhood taught you about resilience through this experience?
The definition of resilience is having the ability to adapt, recover, and keep functioning when life becomes difficult, uncertain, or painful. And I feel like being resilient, it's hard to explain how I feel about this, because it's heavy, you know. Um, because there's a lot of times that I don't. If I'm being truly honest, I would love to just curl up in bed and just sleep the day away. Um, but I can't. Um, on those days that it's just like too much, I have to just turn something on and listen and pray and get back up and keep going and prove to the kids resilience sometimes isn't a choice.
How has this experience changed you just as a woman?
I've realized that more people go through this than you realize. There has been a lot of people that have messaged me that I didn't even know went through the same thing. So going through it makes me want to be there for more people and more, because I'm more aware of what it takes and what you go through. And so I would love to be there for people.
What has God revealed to you about yourself through all of this experience?
My prayer life, not that I have a bad one, but that I needed to pray more often and more diligently about the things that are important, to read my Bible more, to really just focus more of my attention on the Lord, and to ask myself, is there things that I need to give up or put down and replace that time with the Lord? Because I know there is. Social media, is one. There's, been times that I'll just put on a book and listen to a book and fold laundry. And, that could be times that I could put on an audio of the Bible and listen to it and fold laundry instead of listening to a random book. It's things like that that I've realized that I need to prioritize my time in the Lord better.
I hear a lot of what you're saying, but I really do hope and pray that you take care of yourself and not that you're not too hard on yourself, because you taking care of yourself is what's going to take care of your kids and prioritizing what you need. The fact that you said you missed a service and like somebody else didn't take them tells me that you have been to many services. And I'm like, you've done this with everything you're going through, like not miss that much church. Like, wow. Like that tells me a lot about your dedication to God. And like I can live in that place of like never feeling like I'm doing enough. But God, like he knows where you're at. Like he sees what you're going through. He gives grace like to all of us, but especially to you and like what you're going through in this situation. People listening to this need to step it up and come watch your kids so you can sleep. That's what I want people to hear from this. Like, let the girl sleep. So obviously, like everybody that goes through situations like this, like you hear about how their priorities change.
I've realized that I need to spend more time with my kids. We spend time together, but lately I've been doing a lot of more one-on-one time. Me and Melody went shopping the other day, just me and her, while Titus went and hung out with Poppy. And, it's those kind of days where it was just us and we got to laugh and we got to go, and I was mostly about her. And so we went to the store she liked and did the things she liked. But we never get to do those kind of things. I love shopping. I could shop for hours, but right now I can't because I get tired. It was still one-on-one time, It's time that I never prioritized before. Not that I never spent time with them, but I've realized how short life is, and they're only going to be 12 and 8 for 1 year. Um, gosh, now I'm going to cry. And going through this and realizing, this could have taken more from me as in my life, and I couldn't get those years with them. So I've learned to prioritize my time with them more than I have before.
What would you say to other moms that are going through this situation that's similar to what you are right now? And it may not even be cancer or being a single parent.
I know some people going through some things might not have the family or the friends and the support that you need. If you don't, find a support group
Mhm.
online, in person, somebody that can and listen to you. If you need my information, to reach out to me and I can be that for you. Have a good support system, but also learn to trust in the Lord and lean on him through this. There's not once that he has failed, and he never will. So now's not a time to not trust in him.
Amen.
If you don't hold on to faith, then you lose hope in everything that you have. Having faith that the Lord can help you is kind of what your relationship with the Lord is all about. You have to have faith in him,
Mhm.
um,
Absolutely.
in all that he does, and all that he will do. Faith
Right.
is the building block of your relationship with him.
Absolutely. And I also have encouraged myself when I've gone through a difficult time. I think it can be discouraging if when you're going through something, if you think God's let me down. But if you say the world let me
Hmm.
down, which is like reality, right? Like a world of sin and death, it does draw you
Right.
closer to God. And that can be people. Like
Hmm.
people have let me down. And that's not God that failed. God is the same. He's the same. He's never left me. It's always uh, somebody that's been impacted by sin and
And
death. And even like somebody that you really trusted as like a spiritual leader or mentor um,
right.
can be very discouraging for people. So any situation can
Right.
be discouraging. We have to put the focus where it should be, which is yes, it's not fair. It doesn't make
Hmm.
sense. Um, we were hurt.
Yeah.
We were wronged, right? That's real.
Right.
That's a real hurt and a real wound. But God didn't do that. He didn't cause that. It was caused by
Hmm.
living in a world of sin and death. And if we keep that focus, I think it will draw us closer to him. And that's what I feel like God's done for me in my life. It's
Right.
amazing like how close he is when you're going through this situation.
Hmm.
It's almost like you're going through it together. How has that been for you, just like trusting God in like
Hmm.
everyday moments?
Finding peace is how I would explain trusting God in those moments. Finding peace that He will take care of you, that He will see you through, trusting and leaning on Him.
When people are going through the situation and they feel like
Hmm.
distant from God because of the pain that they're
Uh,
feeling.
that's when He's wanting to draw closer to you. He's wanting you to reach out. He's wanting you to call on Him. He's wanting to hear your prayers. Um, and, I've heard, I know a lot of people have heard this analogy, but you can't grow when you're up on the mountaintop. On the mountaintop, it might be beautiful to look at the scenery and to see the beautiful things that God has made. But what you're looking at is the things that are in the valley because that's where things grow. So when we're down in the valley, that's where we grow. We can't feel distant when we're calling on him. That is my advice, is to pray and to
Absolutely.
call on him.
Absolutely.
I'm believing that he will continue to take care of me and to give me the strength that I need to keep going, to keep fighting, to keep being there for my kids. He's been there for me, and I know he will continue to be there for me. So I know that I can keep trusting in him.
Amen to that. Obviously, your story is so special. You're going to leave a legacy for your kids through the story. Um, what would you
Um,
want that legacy to look like?
I would say I want them to look back and see a mom that never gave up, that was always there for them, that always tried to be the strongest version of herself for them, um, that tried to put them first in everything she did, um, and one that leaned on the Lord for everything in her life. It could be the hardest battle, because everyone knows I've had many. Um, as long as you give him praise and call on him, he will continue to help you get through it.
Amen. That's beautiful. And thank you for sharing your story. I feel like I've learned, I still want to know more, but I feel like I've learned enough to where I can understand a bit more. I can't like relate, but I can understand what you're going through it and where we can show up better for others that are going through similar situations. And I think that your story also will help those that, if they're going through this,
Mhm.
they know how they can speak up and ask for help, right? Just like you have, and the being vulnerable, that's always going to help others that are going through a similar situation.
Yeah.
So thank you very much for sharing your story with
No
us.
problem.
I'm honored, seriously, that you've done this. When I first started the podcast, you were like one of the people I wanted to talk to, but I really didn't know how to approach you because it's like heavy to talk about. So I didn't know if you would want
I mean, I
to
had it on
share.
my heart too. So when you started the podcast, I was like, well, I feel like I need to talk about this. I prayed. I prayed about it and I thought, well, Lord, if this is something that I'm supposed to do, if this is something that's supposed to help others, let Jelena reach out to me, and you did. So you're an answer to my prayer.
I've had you on my heart for a while. I really feel like your testimony is going to be one that touches many. It already has. And I want as many people to hear this as possible. And I just thank you for being willing to be an example for the Lord and staying strong. Like, I know it doesn't feel like it, but everything that you've
Thank
shared
you.
with me, most people wouldn't be able to do. And what you've gone through, it's really, really difficult, but you're doing an amazing job. And thank you for taking the time to do this. Like, I really feel like with everything you're going through, this is like a lot, but I hope that you believe it'll be worth it when you get to watch it. Well, thank you so much for being here. I'm so honored that you've shared your story with us. And I know the Lord's going to continue to bless you and cover you and give you rest. And I just want you to just take the rest that you need. And people that are hearing this, they need to help you and support you. They need to like
Yes.
not ask you what you need, but just offer to do things. So that's the takeaway, listeners.
No, thank you for having me, and thank you for everyone who has prayed, and continue the prayers, please.
Absolutely. And thank you, mamas, for joining us every Tuesday at 10 a.m. And make sure to subscribe to the channel. We will share more stories like this of mothers going through their own unique journeys and how the Lord has helped them. So thank you for being here.